What's up, y'all? I know it's late, but for some reason, man, it's kind of hard to try to upload podcasts to your YouTube channel. So this is what I'm gonna do. For people who's wondering, um, where's the entire interview or that I did with Cleve and Me, aka Joe and Cleveland. But this is their podcast. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play everything in its entirety, all of it just wrapped in one long man video, so you can just listen to everything. You can hear them talking, you can hear me talking, where it ain't just me, and you get everything. You get because they asked me who I'm picking going into Wrestlemania and everything, and we just chop it up and everything. So, without further ado, let's play the video or the podcast. On the women's and one on the men's. That if you had to pick one on each side to only tune into, those would be your two.
Obviously, we still don't know what's going to be the main event for Saturday night. I hope it's the ladies, but if it's Bobby and Drew, so be it. But I prefer both Sasha and Bianca to main event for night one, and then for night two, obviously it's a triple threat because listen. I know everybody was clowning Edge because of how old he looked when he came back and went against Jey Uso, but I think the three of them about to tell an excellent story. The match about to go off the chain. So those are two matches that I'm really looking forward to.
And Cleveland, it's really hard to argue with those two choices. First off, and as I said, I'll be there Saturday night. I'm interested to see as we still wait. The first entrance back with fans since before COVID is huge. So it is still a story right now. Okay, yes, if they're going according to a normal WrestleMania plan, I think Sasha and Bianca would be the right spotlight because there is two nights and the men are going to get night two, obviously, with Roman and the crew. But I don't know. It's like that first entrance. That's a big deal. I mean, a lot of people are going to be watching. As they move to Peacock, hopefully they got all the streaming figured out because there is not a second of either night that I really think should be missed. I know there's been some bad storylines going into Mania, but most Manias pre-COVID have never gotten a bad rating. We're here to see good wrestling. We're here to watch it in Cleveland. If you had to make a quick prediction, not on a match, but you think they run with Sasha and Bianca first to make that pop, or you think they end the night with them?
I think you should end the night with them. I think it's only fair seeing how Bianca Belair won the Women's Royal Rumble match, and we always see that the Royal Rumble winner is guaranteed the main event at WrestleMania. To open it up, I feel like kind of an insult to the Women's Royal Rumble because, like I just mentioned, it should be main event. But if it doesn't main event, I wouldn't have a problem with it being the match before the last match. Maybe Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre main event, but if they don't main event, then Sasha and Bianca Belair should main event the first night.
And just to update the fans on a couple of things here that we hit recently, a lot of people are wondering why the Battle Royal is on Friday. I have personally heard for COVID reasons. If anyone heard different, please just cut me off and do so. But also, not only that, last night we find out for the women's tag team. Now, it took a long time because I think we could all voice our frustrations on how they handle their business with the women's tag teams. But finally, they got four teams together that are going to compete on Saturday night for an opportunity on Sunday to finally dethrone Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Now, Marcel, we haven't talked to you in a little bit here. It's been a blunder to me with the Raw's women division, how they gone about it until they got Ripley in there and the tag teams. Do you like the idea of having four teams on Saturday fight for the right to get a chance on Sunday for the championship?
Well, basically what we saw last night, I wish they would have did the match on Raw. This way we can get rid of all of that and then we just focus on whoever they we end up facing at WrestleMania on night one or whatever, or have them go at night two. Because go ahead, you said you want to say something.
No. I mean, now you bring up a good point there. I do like the idea, but then it's like, man, you get a 1-day layover. So if that said team who wins Saturday loses Sunday, it's all for nothing. You're pretty much saying, which I see your point.
Mm-hmm.
So I see you there. So or at least do it on Friday, maybe even give it a couple of days. But yeah, have it on Saturday. That's why I really hope The Riot Squad, who to me is very well deserving. Other teams in there like Mandy and Dana
Mm-hmm.
randomly throwing together. Well, Vince McMahon brings up good tag teams like the Iconics, and then throws sobbishly together teams like Natalia, Tamina, and Dana, Mandy. I'm not saying they're not good fighters. I'm not saying they can't be good tag teams, but we've seen them in better tag teams be reduced. So
Right.
just to me, Riot Squad would make the most sense to take them on. Let's say you for those 4 teams fighting.
Based on how they've been being pushed, I did say Lana and Naomi, but with you saying that, might as well, because I feel like the Riot Squad have been getting jobbed out this whole, if you want to say pandemic, whatever. But I said if you want to give them their moment, this would be the perfect opportunity for them not only to win on Saturday night, but end up beating Nia Jackson standing base on Sunday night. That would make, for me, I wouldn't mind that.
No, and I think Cleveland, since we won't predict the actual tag team match because we don't know who's going to fight it. But for the sake of this, and remember for all out there listening on YouTube, or will catch this podcast later in the week, Wednesday evening we will be doing a YouTube show as well with me and Cleveland's prediction. So stay tuned for that. It's looking like 6 p.m. Central Time if I can get my life together with everything I'm doing, moving and all that. But that's another thing too. I like to appreciate people like Marcel, Cleveland, myself. We have Megan's. This is a side thing for us. We put in the time. It's a lot of hard work, and at the same time, we don't see our enjoyment is from the people and from the viewers. So Cleveland, though, out of the 4 teams that are fighting, Marcel mentioned, Lana and Naomi, which I could see that. I want the Riot Squad because that's the tag team that has stayed together the longest, makes the most sense. Let's see.
This one is really. I'm looking at the card right now for WrestleMania. This seems sort of a mixed bag at the moment. I kind of want a few people to win, just because, like Marcelo mentioned, that the Riot Squad has been jobbed out the last year. Ruby Riot honestly should be above the women's tag team division at this point in her career, but you can say the same for Naomi, and don't forget Alana went through so much in the past few months, and WWE sort of gave her moment at Survivor Series, but it was sort of a goofy moment, and she really never had the real shot at the women's tag team. But if I were to pick a team, it would probably be. Uh, I'll just say. I feel like they might go with Naomi and Natalia just for, I guess, veteran experience.
You mean Natalia and Tamina?
Yeah, Natalia and Tamina.
Oh,
yes.
God. As bad as you just botched that tag team, I hope we don't get Jesus.
It sounds bad, but you could see it. Natalia being a veteran and closer to her, career being over. Tamina being Tamina. I like Dana Brooks. Dana Brooks tries very hard. I think we all can see in her matches, but it's she's just not believable. And then Mandy Rose, maybe. I'm not too sold on the Riot Squad, even though they've been jobbed out this entire year. Like I mentioned, Ruby deserves better, but I just say I think Naomi. Natalia. It's a crazy prediction, but I think
you must have been watching some Naomi matches or just have a big birth because you keep me up. But all jokes aside, can we get Nia and Shayna to lose? Here you have, I always talk about the great wrestling woman talent in WWE, but my gosh, could we just focus on them having the heels so that when we build these, Asuka, who was given the belt by Shin, you could have had single matches pegged along across the way. Instead, they kind of just did her bogus and fight these small matches. Marcel, I don't know if you have any more input on the women's side of things, but do you think it's time Nia and Shayna go their separate ways?
It's bedtime. Because I feel like Shayna has gotten weaker hanging out with Nia Jackson. Like Shayna, if you remember, she was going against Becky last year for the World Women's Championship. Now she's stuck in this tag team stuff. I'm like, come on now.
No, and I want you to keep feeding off that. But she went from bleeding at the mouth of fighting Becky Lynch to a tag team where she has to stand behind Reginald half the time.
Yep. Exactly. It makes no sense. I'm like, but like I said, it's best enough for you.
Hey, and I'm a avid follower of Marcel. Like I said, our opinions differ a lot, but the great thing is we highly respect each other. When he always a few of his tweets will allude to Vince McMahon all the time because I think he says it spot on, and we agree on this that a lot of people say, even Busted Open Radio, creative has to change. I don't know if people are afraid to say it. On Monday Night Raw, it is Vince McMahon who needs to change. This is his baby. This is his show. Not SmackDown. Yes, he oversees
Dude, just like
it
Kevin.
for free. You have Paul
Yeah,
Heyman.
but
You have Roman Reigns and his say there. You have a couple other understudies. Vince McMahon literally will rip scripts from others from Raw and do as he pleases. I mean, we don't really have the time here to get into the whole Hurt Business fiasco because we all just know it was lamented as a bad look. Unless in the long run they have something better for us. I just don't see. I just think Vince thought this was the way to go, and as I said it once, I'll say it again. Drew McIntyre is his Monday Night Raw baby, so it's unfortunate. And Cleveland, I want to bring you in here before we go into predictions and start with the card. We saw Bobby Lashley fight Cedric Alexander last night. Shelton came in to kind of help out. Didn't go well for him, and they are building the almighty Bobby Lashley up as a huge, powerful figure, but then it gets kind of confusing when he keeps trying to have people still beat Drew McIntyre, and that's it. These are two huge behemoths. The whole time they should have just had a contract signing where they're just always, sniping it. One has a promo, the other one comes in, they just start not all this crap about, hey, get somebody from the locker room. We talked about how much we hated that. What you saw from Bobby Lashley last night in Cleveland, did the Hurt Business, they keep dissipating here. What are your thoughts on that?
I think this is what they should have been doing the past few weeks, making him look dominant. He beat the hell out of Cedric and Shelton Benjamin. He looked like the Bobby Lashley that we all loved and cared about before he picked the championship up. I'm very confused on what Baron Corbin's role in this feud. He's been popping up a lot. Maybe he plays a role in the title match Sunday. I believe they have maybe Saturday where they have the match, but I like it. I think the past few weeks before, they definitely fumbled with the Bobby Lashley character, sort of made him look scary and kind of goofy a little bit, begging for help with a guy of that size. But I think they did something right with Monday, but I just feel it was a little too late with WrestleMania literally being Saturday and Sunday. So they fumbled it, in my opinion.
Cleveland.
Go ahead, Marcel.
I was back to back off what he said. Cleveland said it best. They waited too late. First of all, why the clown is he going after a dude that's technically on SmackDown? Why are you going after King Corbin and try to be your hitman when you had to hurt? Listen, let me tell you something. When they lost the tag team titles, I knew the handwriting was on the wall. I said, congratulations, Drew. He getting that title back at WrestleMania, whether you like it or not. I knew the handwriting was on the wall right there. So, to me, like I said, everybody liked the Hurt Business, but Vince, he broke it up. It seems like every time when the fans like something, he always do the opposite. I don't understand that. Like, come on now.
And this is where my front now. I think I disagree with both of you on who I wanted to win this match. I agree with you on the crampiness along the way. I am more of a Drew McIntyre fan. I think he deserves his spotlight with the fans. I know Bobby Lashley definitely deserves a spotlight with the fans as well. So it is a straight toss-up. But this is my biggest thing. Factions in WWE, when they get built up, they're usually pretty strong. And when I say factions, I'm talking 3 or more people, and I'm not counting Retribution mess. What I'm saying is if you go from the Attitude Era to Nexus, that was so bad, Retribution, they didn't even give a reason why. They're like, nope, we just hope people forgot about that. Man, was I wrong on those clowns. Anyways, and it's not their fault. Creative put them in a bad spot. But you look at factions like the Nexus, Authority, going back to in the day, we can go on and on. This Hurt Business should just have lasted a long time. You look across the way at AEW, where, they have 2 big-time factions going on. One led by Chris Jericho as I stumbled through that, and the other led by MJF. And you have 2 factions going at it. You involve more people, as we talked to Aaron Premier Amp the other day, and you get more character building, more involvement there. And Shelton and Cedric, it's hard to find places for everybody in WWE, but these are 2 great wrestlers where they found a spot.
Yep.
just to suck all the life out of it. To me, you could still have, and I said we wouldn't talk about this, but it's the biggest thing to talk about because of what they did to him. You could still have Bobby Lashley lose and keep that team intact. The factions have had title losses and title championships done before. I think what they should have done at the end of the day, and I haven't, spoke on it much, is Shawn and Cedric still be the champs, and then you have AJ and Owens go up and be like, hey, AJ can go, hey, you got your Hurt Business faction. I'm bringing my big bodyguard with me, and we're about to kick all your asses in this tag team match. Excuse my French, but they didn't have to just throw it on the New Day for the 9 millionth time. Just have them go against AJ. And I love it. When I saw Kofi Mania, man, I love that was one of the greatest moments, hands down, in all of WWE history. But they did not need the tag team titles. It was better off suited with Cedric and Sheldon. And they still could have played AJ and Omos in. But that's where I'm going to start with you, Marcel, on this and get your first prediction of the night. New Day versus Omos and AJ. Who comes out tag team champions?
AJ and Omos is going to be your next Raw tag team champs. It's got to be. First of all, did you see what we saw last night? This is another thing I hate about WWE. Why the clown do we keep getting rematches of the match that we're supposed to get at the pay-per-view? I don't want to see the match going into WrestleMania. I wanted to see them just beat up each other, and then whatever we plan on getting at the show, then we can say, okay, but then if we've been seeing it like 4 or 5 times, why are we gonna care about it at the pay-per-view?
And you bring up such a great point, and you know where this kills me most in Cleveland. I want you to jump in here too. Is it kills me with Apollo and Big E because I feel like we've been at it for months. Sami Zayn got involved a little bit here and there, but then they were just like, oh no, WrestleMania is coming up. We don't have time to start another, villain here to go against him. So let's just keep the Apollo thing going. And Cleveland, when we talk about these rematches, is this always lazy creative, or sometimes Sometimes I can see the rematches, but I think it's happening too much lately.
I think it is a very lazy and just simple something, just throw in a car to match. Remember, it wasn't that long ago we were going through this where we would see the same match for 3 weeks in a row. And at that point, you might as well just make it a best of 7 in the series between somebody. Because, and then the issue is somebody will win, and then someone else will win, and then they'll just have another one, and then another one, and then another one. And you're like, all right, what's the even score on this one? And I don't understand why every rematch is when a person loses 3 matches straight. Like, we understand what Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, that was a different story. But we're talking about guys that we know probably will not even really get a big push or anything like that. They're having the same match, and it's a short 5-minute match either. They do a little cool thing, but, we don't want to see that.
Right.
And that's a good point. Now, I was very curious to see, I think his name is, Amos. I don't want to. Omos. Okay. Now I am very curious to see this guy in the ring because the last time we had a guy that tall in the ring, his name was Great Khali.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to the Great Khali, he is a Hall of Famer. That's debatable, but he was a big part of SmackDown for a while. But the problem with Great Khali is he couldn't move around the ring. He was stiff in the He was stiff in the fence. So I want to see, can this guy move it around or is he just a giant that's just going to be out there? But I think, I'll let you go.
No, I was just going to shoot in and say, I've been doing a lot of reading, and the main reason I think Great Khali got in the Hall of Fame is because of how much he did to rejuvenate India and their wrestling. So, yes, was his chop one of his only moves, and besides fighting The Undertaker, I don't have too many memorable, besides a couple of Punjabi matches, but I think it was more for what he did in India than honestly what he did inside.
Yeah, and I will agree with that. But to go on the match at WrestleMania, I think that I listened to the podcast yesterday, the one I wasn't on, we had the guest, and he mentioned a point about AJ Styles. I didn't realize that AJ Styles has won every single champion in the WWE at the moment. He's been a United States and an Intercontinental champion. He's been a WWE champion, and I don't think he's never been a tag team. So I think he will come out so he can be added to that Triple Crown list.
Yep.
So. Well, and speaking of rematches, because boy, we got a few of them as I look up and down the card. I'm gonna move on, Marcel, to Riddle and Sheamus. Now I love this feud. think it works. You have your clear, to me, up and coming face versus. Now we can talk about the interesting ways they got there, but I think you got a strong big heel versus a newer, younger, smaller Riddle. Again, though, we're on our third. I think we're on our third fight of this. What do you got for this Mania?
I'm taking Sheamus. The reason why I'm going with Sheamus is because if you notice, Sheamus has been wrestling his tail off this whole time. The feuds the couple of matches he had with Drew, and everything else. I'm like, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and reward him? Like I said, I know my man just got the title or whatever, but I'm like, you know what? I think this is the perfect time to go ahead and let Sheamus get his little moment because I believe his homeboy is gonna win too. Which sorry, we'll talk about that a little bit later. That's my take on that.
And Sheamus, we talked about it a couple of times, but he deserves so much. I mean, the brutality him and Drew McIntyre's bodies went through each week on Raw and in the pay per view. I mean, you can just see it from pictures. It, you don't. It, I love. That's why I love when Randy Orton is getting into it with these guys on Twitter because they say it's fake. Yes, we got over that a long time ago, people. What's a lot harder to do is actually take the pain on moves that you know are coming, and you have to live up to the standard to perform them. And
Yep.
I just think Sheamus and Drew put on a hell of a series. I think that again they could have went about it a little bit better with their rivalry and maybe did a couple of different things, but the matches were phenomenal. Cleveland, you have any thoughts on that?
My only issue with that, I'm kind of 50-50 on this match. I kind of changed because I wanted Sheamus to win, but I was thinking about it. If Sheamus were to win, then what would be next for Matt Riddler? I think he just recently won the championship not too long ago, and I think it would be somewhat of a bad move to take it off of such a young guy. This is his first title reign. Sheamus has held the belt a few times, and I think it would hurt Matt more if he were to lose than help it would build Sheamus really doesn't need to be built up anymore. He's a future Hall of Famer, a multi-time world champion. It's all about putting the younger guys over. So I'm kind of leaning more toward Matt Riddle just because I want to see what he really can do with a long, successful title run.
And like I said, I'll say it for now. I am a huge Matt Riddle fan, as Cleveland and the fans know. But Sheamus, he's just so deserving right now that it's truly going to be a toss up in my head where I will go. Um, one that one thing on the opposite side of things where we haven't seen this match, and I think Monday Night Raw did another great thing last night. Marcel, before you get your prediction, do you think it was smart to make Bad Bunny team up with Damian Priest instead of him having to try and go solo against The Miz?
I believe so because at first I'm gonna be honest with you, I really didn't care about this match.
Me either.
But now that you got Damian and Morrison added, I think now you can use Damian to carry it most of the way to the match because we haven't seen Bad Bunny wrestle before. So I'm like, you know what? Listen, and that promo that he cut last night talking about Bad Bunny, listen, even though he spoke most of it in Spanish, I think he did a great job. And I said, you know what? I said, look, I didn't care nothing about this shoot. I didn't like because I can't stand this. I'm tired of this. But what Bad Bunny said, and then Damian Priest said, we finna join in since you did that to my boy, you messed his car up. We finna beat the brakes off of you and your boy Morrison at WrestleMania. I actually want to see it. So this is the one Raw match that I actually care about.
And a 180 turn he did there, as he mentioned with Bad Bunny. I think a lot of fans did because I saw Cleveland a lot of postings of, nobody, we talk about all the time, Miz versus Bad Bunny, come on, this is just, a ploy to get more people to watch, get international focus, all this stuff. But his promo makes sense last night. Yes, of course, he is Spanish speaking, and not all of it can be always completely understood. But he's standing there, and he's like, "Look, we've been messing around the whole time 2-on-2. Why are we just gonna put the spotlights on ourselves?" Damian Priest is a great fighter that came from NXT. John Morrison, we know him well from back in the day. He now has a new 5-year contract. Let's actually use him correctly if you're not going to put the tag team titles on him in the Miz or have them battle each other in a fight. Let's actually make use of him instead of just him trying to be a comedian, which back in the day went better with Dirt Sheet, but these days it just doesn't fit together. So then, Marcel, before we get Cleveland's thoughts on a couple other things, prediction for that match, who's the winner?
Oh, I'm going with Bad Bunny.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to go against that. I mean, they gave Miz a cheapy belt. He's been around a long time. He could handle the loss, especially if it comes from you know Damian Priest being involved. It's a lot easier to take. Cleveland, did you like Monday Night Raw's switch on making it to a 2-on-2?
I think it is, but Bad Bunny is not a professional wrestler, and I don't think it would be a smart move to put a guy that probably doesn't know how to hit a suplex correctly in a one-on-one match against the Miz. It'll be unfair to the Miz to have to carry the guy. The tag team match does add a different dynamic to it. I really don't know too much about Damian Priest, but he seems like a badass. You had John Morrison in it too. Another guy who should be ahead of where he currently is at the moment. The only issue I have with this match is the fact that I know the Miz will take the pinfall in this match, and it kills me that WWE is willing to sacrifice a former two-time WWE champion. Yes, the Miz is a two-time champion to get a few ratings, to please a few audience, and I'm just like, and this one of these matches, this one and the Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon match, I honestly don't care about, to be honest. I think I care more about the Braun and Shane match, the steel cage match.
You really do?
Yeah, I mean it's a cage match. And Shane might do something crazy, but I really don't want to see the Miz take the loss in this match. But I feel he will just because it's Bad Bunny and it will boost the ratings and have people talk about it.
Before Joe goes, let me tell you exactly why this became a tag team match. Both Damian Priest and Morrison was injured. They was injured. They've been dealing with some nagging injuries. So obviously it was like last minute. Obviously they just got cleared because it was, like I said, it was supposed to be the tag team from the beginning, but because the two of them got injured, they was like, well, we just gonna call it a singles for right now. But obviously they've been cleared to go. So I said, thank God, because I said, like you said, I don't know if, like I said, we depended on Miz to carry Bad Bunny. I'm like, I've never seen him wrestle before. So the fact that we got both Damian Priest and Morrison to help him along, I said, you know what? I think I like it a whole lot better being the tag team than just being the two of them by themselves.
Yeah, because you're definitely right on that. There was talk about a big tag team, then injuries happened, so I'm glad we got the correct information there. But since we were just talking about it, let's get to it with the steel cage match. Now, personally, since I'll be there for it, like I said, I'm excited to see a steel cage match. Am I happy about the storyline and the people that are in it? No. Um, sloppishly put together. I get it for the young kids, but to me, is us being more of a veteran wrestling force, Marcel. I just don't think Shane calling Braun Strowman an idiot deserves a steel cage match. It just, like I said, when I see the match, I think it's gonna be cool, but everything that went into it was not a good go.
I have absolutely no desire for this match. I don't care nothing about nothing that's going on in this match. This to me, like you said, this is a Kids' Choice Awards match. This is like for the kids. This is the Nickelodeon match. Because remember when he brought Slime into the picture, I said, okay, this somewhere down the line they must probably broadcast this match on Nickelodeon someday. So, I'm taking Shane to win this match. For some reason, I feel like Shane is going over and obviously, Shane loves jumping off of stuff. So he gonna find a way to either he gonna jump off the steel cage or he gonna find a way to jump off the ship that they got out there in Tampa Bay. I'm telling you right now, that's what we get. He gonna find a way to jump off of something.
Oh, and there's no doubt between Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens that there's going to be some jumping. I even heard there was a makeshift second ship built actually besides the real one that's in the stadium. So definitely going to be some crazy jumps. So interested to see it there. But let's wrap up night number one, Marcel, and get into Lashley McIntyre. We talked about the Hurt Business. We talked about the two stars. Who comes out on top? WWE champion.
Your boy Drew McIntyre is getting that title back. This will be his third title reign. I just don't know what they do with him afterwards, but I'm going with Drew McIntyre to win this. Unfortunately for my man Bobby Lashley, but Drew McIntyre is winning.
And it's crazy when you say third, because you're right, but it just seems like he's lost it so quickly that gets it back. I get it with storylines too. When he fought Randy Orton, and I don't want to keep chasing tails, but Randy had to win eventually because you just can't lose 4 times in a row being Randy Orton. But then he loses it at Elimination Chamber, excuse me, he didn't lose at Elimination Chamber, but Bobby Lashley, hurt locks him and starts up everything there. So it would be the third time in the year. So I could see where the fans would struggle to see that as something where does the future go? Cleveland, I know you're a big hurt business guy, big Bobby Lashley guy. Everyone can kind of already know your prediction, probably without or who you're rooting for. But is there any chance Lashley wins this?
I think so. Like I mentioned, maybe Baron Corbin plays a factor into it. MVP still on the sideline, but Bobby Lashley doesn't need interference. I know a lot of people think Drew McIntyre should win and will win, but I'm still rooting for Bobby. He's only held the title for, I just looked it up, 36 days. Like, I think he needs more time with the belt. I was a huge Drew McIntyre guy last year during the pandemic when there was no fans in the arena. I was the one that was like, Drew McIntyre was the man. But I think it's his time is up now. Maybe he should take a step back and let someone else carry the Raw brand for a while, and I don't think anybody else but Bobby Lashley is the perfect person to do that.
I agree. I agree 100% with Cleveland, but we know how Vince get down, so that's.
I just think it looks bad because within the past, Drew McIntyre, like if you think about it, there's been like 6 WWE champions within the past year, realistically. After Drew McIntyre won it from Brock Lesnar last year, Randy Orton beats him. Drew McIntyre beats Orton. The Miz beats Drew. Bobby beats The Miz. That's so many title changes. That's too many. The WWE champion is supposed to hold it for quite a while, at least 200 or some days, not 90 days or 50 days or even 8 days as The Miz.
I agree.
And no, you guys bring up great points. And before we get into night number two, I just want to mention real quick and say thanks to Marcel again. Find him on Twitter at Beats2Blessing. That is Beats the number two blessing. Um, he is just, for the Cleve and Me listeners who have listened to him before and stuff, the content is there. The opinions all over YouTube on his channel as well. He puts the link in his bio for the fans. So, he's a very unbiased opinion, and keep checking him out there because as we move on, we're going to hit night number two.
Okay, so I'm assuming that this is part 2 up here because they told me that they had uploaded. So we're going to play it. I'm just going to double check, make sure. All right.
Once he was, diagnosed with the cancer, the crowd sort of, chilled out a little bit on the hatred of Roman. Then, I think Roman is the smart choice to retain, simply seeing how the growth and development of Roman tribal chief character has been.
Cleveland, getting back to your point of what you were saying, you want to finish it out?
Yeah, I was saying, I think Roman is the smart choice to retain, simply seeing how the growth and development of Roman tribal chief character has been. And we remember not that long ago, people hated Roman Reigns. People booed Roman. They didn't want to see his matches. They would chant anything in his matches. And once he was, diagnosed with the cancer, the crowd sort of, chilled out a little bit on the hatred of Roman. But then it was slowly starting back up. But I think with the introduction of this new character, the tribal chief, people have finally warmed up to Roman. Roman is still not the best in the ring, but he's cutting way better promos. He looks like the main event star, so I think Roman will be the safe choice, and the smart choice to retain at WrestleMania.
And as much as I just want to say at this point, I would give my prediction. I still am just so up in the air that I can't do it. But you bring up a great point for Roman and Edge, and I could also bring one up for Daniel Bryan, being his career is on the downturn. He always mentions even on live SmackDown, he doesn't know how much time he has left. So a lot can happen in a triple threat. Potential interference. Other things can happen. We know the Usos always get involved. In terms of Edge and Christian, they don't got a lot going on. I mean, Edge and Daniel Bryan, without Christian being there anymore, who joined AEW, we don't have a lot on that side of things. But there's still room for plenty of opportunity of surprises. And hey, you never know. I don't know if Brock Lesnar's ever going to show back up, but if he does, it should be on this night to either interfere in the Drew and Lashley one, or on this side of things. You may see him, you might not, for better or for worse, but Brock Lesnar loves playing that game. So to be determined on that. Let's keep. Go ahead, Marcel. No.
We didn't. I don't think we talked about Sasha Bianca.
And you know what? You're right. Since we were talking about that more at the beginning, I kind of lost track of the actual prediction. Now that we are here and it is a main event type match, going from one main event Roman Reigns to another, who is your winner after all the talk?
Yeah, I'm one of the biggest Sasha Banks heads on the planet. But for some reason, y'all, I think this is Bianca's time. I think they're gonna go ahead and give it to her. I want Sasha to finally get her moment. Because y'all know when she loses, her record would be 0-6. She's never won a WrestleMania. So I've seen fans actually say they want her to be the loser version of the Undertaker. So it's the opposite. You know how Undertaker was always winning all the time. They want Sasha Banks to get a losing streak where she is 0-6, 0-7, I mean just keep. I'm like, y'all are crazy, but
We don't need to turn it into Kurt Hawkins now. Come on now.
I listen, fans is crazy, but I'm like, you know what? I would prefer Sasha going over, but I think Bianca gonna win, y'all. I really do. I think Bianca about to walk out because, like I said, she won the Royal Rumble. I didn't think she would win the Royal Rumble. Like I said, she was like my second pick, but she prevailed. She won the Royal Rumble. Now the build, I'm serious. The build has been garbage. I said it 100,000 times. The build has been trash. It has been trash, and Vince and them didn't put forth no type of effort to actually make it feel like a main event worthy match. That's why people was debating whether or not they'll prefer Drew and Bobby over these two. And I'm like, well, she won the Royal Rumble, so why not have it? And then first time, like I said, this would be a second opportunity to have the women main event. And then we already know the old elephant in the room, these two black women. We know we never seen two black folk main event WrestleMania, so this is your opportunity to go ahead and do it. Go ahead and get it out the door. Go ahead and let it happen, you know. But that's my whole take on the situation. I'm gonna take Bianca to win. All right, what you got, Cleveland?
Well, I mean, I just want to try to. I'm as much a Sasha lover as you are as well, and it has been disappointing because the storyline started strong, but then it just kind of became repetitive, and they didn't really. They should have been vicious with each other, kind of like Bailey, but instead they tried to team them up and break them. And it just kind of was crappy along the way. I am fully in agreement there. Cleveland, it has kind of been a letdown in terms of the storyline a little bit. We talked a little about them earlier before we continue with night two. They're going to put on a phenomenal show. We'll save your prediction for tomorrow. But who when the match ends, who will you be like, I feel good about that? Like, not prediction aside. Like, who do you think would be like, if you had to pick one when it ends, you're like cheering, your fist pumping, or either way?
This is another one of those matches where I am 50-50. I am a big Sasha Banks fan. I was the one talking about it for the past few shows in the past where we talked about how Sasha never got her defining moments. She would win a title and lose it real quick. I honestly didn't even know that was the WrestleMania record. That's actually just laughable to be 0-6, seeing how she is one of the 4 horsewomen in the company. But at the same time, Bianca Belair is fresh. She's new. She's different. And she did win the Royal Rumble. Like Joe mentioned, I won't give my predictions today.
Okay.
But if Bianca were to win, I wouldn't be angry.
And Marcel, that's why we have him on. He brings up great points. Sasha Banks being defeated, like, damn, this is a really tough. You don't want to see either lose because
you sure don't.
Right, because Sasha finally has had this push that she deserves, not just quick runs here and there, but at the same time, they built up Bianca to the point where I almost think this rivalry should not end at Mania. In my opinion, I think it should continue because it's just too strong. You have just these two dominating forces, and they haven't fought singles yet. So you could. WWE loves their rematches. To me, this would be the only time it's warranted because you just have two prestige women characters, and let's not beat around the bush. Two great black wrestlers in the woman division. Let's just keep this storyline going, maybe, and maybe just whoever wins at this pay per view, maybe the next one takes us in and out. But we'll break that down more later as we get into it. And thank you for bringing up that match because even though we talked about it, we did forget the prediction. Let's get into night number 2 and start with Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, where Marcel, I think you kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, but go on and refresh us on your winner there.
I'm going to take Cesaro because based on how the storyline has been built, actually, if you notice, Cesaro has been on a downer. So I know Seth just getting back. He just coming back. So I knew with them having him beat Nakamura and Fastlane, I said they're gonna go ahead and give him the win in Fastlane because we know what's gonna happen at WrestleMania. Now everybody trying to figure out how many times he gonna spin this dude around. I don't know how many times he's gonna spin him around, but he's gonna spin him around a lot. But I'm gonna take Cesaro to win this match. He gonna win. So I'm taking Cesaro over Seth Rollins.
You know, after all this Seth Rollins stuff in his heel character, I hope that Cesaro just spins him back to the face. At this point, and we can see the greatness of that in the ring because Cesaro definitely deserves his moment, and I think this will be one of the better ring matches on the card. As we keep moving down the chain here, though, um, we talked about repeats, Big E and Apollo Crews, and I want to get the name right here, but I believe it's a Nigerian drum match that is being called with his new character that Apollo, now he has his two men that walk out with him. And Marcel, right, wrong, or indifferent, this match has happened so many times. You almost just got to think that maybe Apollo pulls this one off being in his type of match, but at the same time, Big E, they've been trying to push. So once again, I'm just a little confused here. Let's say you.
The match that we got at Fastlane had no business happening in Fastlane. That should have never happened. And so at this point, you might as well go ahead and give it title to Apollo. I'm going with Apollo to win. Um, it is. It's just goofy. It's another situation where they actually have potential to making this be. This is the first time in a long time that the Intercontinental Championship is actually important. So it's coming back to the prestigious like how it used to be back in the day. So now when you got these two, like I said, they had a couple of great matches. So I'm like, okay, I don't mind. But when they said that it was booked for Fastlane, I said, oh, good, like, come on, Vince. Why are you giving us the match now? Like, let them. They shouldn't even been on the card. Like, you could have had them beat each other up so bad where they couldn't compete. Where they say, oh, we're gonna keep them off the show, and then set up this whole, if you want to call it, the Nigerian drum. I said Nigerian drum boy match. I said, what they gonna do? What they gonna do? Just come out there beating on some drums or something? But to me, I think it's just a street. I think it's just a regular street fight. I would have been fine with them just having a regular street fight. But yeah, I'm taking Apollo to finally get. Now it's unfortunate. Big E been lose. He's another one that be losing all the time for WrestleMania. But I'm gonna go ahead and go with Apollo to win. But I would not be shocked if he end up winning. Big E retaining his title, but I'm gonna go with Apollo to win.
Now, Cleveland, I want to ask you this question: if they do have Apollo win, do you see Big E moving into a bigger picture, or do you think they toss him aside?
That's what I've kind of been worried about with a lot of wrestlers though that we even talked about today. That remember a few years ago when a guy would lose the title and he'll still be around and still seem important. It seems like when certain guys lose these championships, they're gone off the TV for a while, or they fall so far down in the card. Um, Big E losing, he can move up to the card, but if Roman retains, it seems that Roman would hold the title for a long time if he walks out of WrestleMania with it. And Big E could challenge Roman, but realistically, Big E won't take the title from Roman. So I don't really know. Maybe they put the New Day back together. Maybe they get nervous and say, we're just gonna put New Day back together. But if I were to say who would win this match, first of all, I will mention the name of this match sounds kind of goofy. I had to click on it to see it. It's basically somewhat like a hardcore match. I don't know why they didn't just say a hardcore match.
Right, exactly.
That would probably have more people interested. But I think Apollo Crews, it is his time. He finally turned heel. He's finally talking on the mic. He's not a boring character anymore. And I think it would hurt him more to lose than Big E to lose simply because he lost so many other times. And the match at Fastlane sort of fumbled at the end. Yes. So I think this is Apollo Crews' big moment. And I think if he loses, then you just got to give up. You just got to give up on his character.
Well, and yeah, they're definitely. I mean, I do kind of like that they try to change some with Apollo because he did. I need to find a way to make a more credible name, but are they going about the right way? We'll see. A lot of time left. I don't want to judge it too soon. Going on, though, to the biggest repeats of all repeats, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Will they put on a phenomenal match? Yes. Well, some crazy stuff happened. I'm sure. We still don't know if what Jake Paul's role will be, if he's going to be special guest referee. That is my prediction. Maybe he'll stand in someone's corner. Um, Marcel, let's get your two thoughts there. Winner and what is Jake Paul's involvement will be.
I'm going with Sami Zayn. The reason I'm going with Sami Zayn is because I've been calling him a clown because he's been running around with this gimmick, but he's been making it work.
Yes.
This conspiracy. What is the dictator? Because that's what he looks like. He looks like the dictator guy. I cannot think of the dictator from Cuba.
Fidel Castro.
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly. And he keep running around and talk about this conspiracy foolishness and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, you know what? And then, like I said, if you said Jay, it's Logan Paul. Logan Paul.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. Logan Paul is gonna help him out. Even though I still don't know why he's here, but I believe he's gonna help him out. Because if you notice, after Kevin did what he did to him, he walked off and he pushed him out the way.
Yeah.
And he was looking at him like, bro, what you do that for? That tells me, okay, I think he's gonna help Sammy win. That's what I'm going.
Yeah, and I don't know if I just vouch his name because I don't care enough about him being in the
See,
team.
exactly right. I agree. I'm straight about these guys.
No, I just straight vouch it. But the funny part about that is this is definitely, at least Bad Bunny, I will give credit there. They built up a whole storyline.
Yes.
This is a childhood dream, but truly Logan Paul is just a straight money grab for more viewership because he just shows up at the last second. And it's not like the documentary had Sami Zayn, that probably makes sense. He played it off, but involving him is just more for the fandom. But, before I get on to the two big matches besides the main event, that being the Raw Women's and then Fiend versus Orton, I see here that it says Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode versus Street Profits, and I'm almost thinking they have to involve. I don't know if this match is fully done yet because after Friday we saw Otis and Gable pick up the win. Marcel, what do you think this ends up? Do you think it stays in a one-on-one, or what are you hearing latest on this tag team match for SmackDown Men's?
Listen, man, this is why I think they should have been merged the tag team division because we keep getting the same rematches over and over again. Personally, I think they're supposed to be in that Andre Battle Royal that's taking place on SmackDown.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're doing with them. I personally don't. I'm assuming it's gonna be a fatal 4-way, and if it's a fatal 4-way, why not have the Mysterios go over? Because it seems like they've been getting beat up the whole time. So you have the Mysterios. This will be the first ever father-son tag team duo. I don't think I've ever seen a father-son tag team duo win tag team champs. So this would be Dominique Mysterio's moment, him and Ray. That's what I go with.
Cleveland, I think you agree with that.
I'm happy because I was going to bring up the SmackDown Tag Team Division. So I talked about it on the last show where low-key, the SmackDown Tag Team Division has actually been really better. I mean, it's been better than Raw Tag Team Division. We have 4 teams at the moment. I'm liking Chad Gable and Otis. I'm glad, Otis had a lot going on in the year. He won the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then he lost it and disappeared for a while. And now he's working with Chad Gable, another underappreciated guy. I'm tired. I like the Street Profits, but I don't think they should be. No. I don't think they should win the title anymore.
No, I agree.
I like the Mysterios. I was a huge Rey Mysterio guy growing up, and to see him and his son sharing the ring together is truly an amazing moment. You really won't. In all the sports, you rarely see a father and son combination like that. And like Marcel mentioned, it could be Rey Mysterio is going to retire soon. Let's be honest; he doesn't have that much long in him. And it'll be great when we can see one time him and Dominic win the championship.
Well, let's say it this way: WrestleMania looks for WrestleMania moments. Those quick snippets, those awesome moments, and I think having them win it, hug each other in the middle of the ring, that could be a really good feel-good story for that match. So hopefully it is a fatal 4, and let's make it interesting. Maybe make it a ladder, man. Put the titles at the top ladder. Do something creative. Let's get these guys flying around the ring and make it interesting. But
that's funny. That's like 5 years ago when the Hardy Boys showed up for WrestleMania. It's supposed to be a fatal 4-way. They brought ladders out and they introduced the last tag team. So that would be a nice nice way to do that, actually. Not a bad idea.
And we won't get into it because we just don't have the time. But they're a top WrestleMania moment, and they actually got booted from there, maybe because Matt Hardy is in AEW, and we all know Vince McMahon's jealousy. But that was by far one of the best entrances of a Mania moment, and should have been in the top 10 because it easily deserved it. I think we can all agree there.
Yep.
Women's then men's, and then we'll wrap it on out and get out of here. Asuka and Rhea Ripley, we talked about how much in other shows and a little bit here how they botched the build up and the confusion, but at the end of the day, these are two good women wrestlers. Who you going with, Marcel?
I don't know if y'all seen my predictions. I had predicted Rhea would win, but what we seen last night on Raw, I'll change my prediction. I think Asuka will retain that title, y'all. Because we didn't really know who was the baby face of the heel going into it. Well, they just had Rhea basically turn on her. And first of all, that match shouldn't even happen. I don't know what they should have had that match. That match was just stupid. But I'm going with Asuka to retain that title. I think Asuka's going to finally get her WrestleMania moment, which would be good because let's just face it, her title run has been very terrible. They have not done anything with her, and she's been getting hurt so much. I'm like, okay, well, to reward her for taking all these bumps. I mean, her teeth got messed up. I mean, just think, Asuka been going through, y'all. She's been going through. I'm like, to reward her, and it's unfortunate because Rhea lost last year. So she will be coming back just to lose again. It's messed up on her end. But I think Asuka's going to retain. I just said at first I had Rhea winning, but what we got on Monday Night Raw, that changed my whole prediction. That changed my whole mindset. So I'm like, you know what? And I believe that the ladies going. I think both women title matches are going to be great. Both of them. Because Asuka's a great wrestler. And I'm not too big of a Rhea Ripley fan, but she can wrestle because the match, even though I don't even like Charlotte Flair, the two of them had a decent match last year.
Yes, they did.
They had a great match, so I'm like, you know what? I think Rhea and Asuka gonna be great, just like Sasha and Bianca. So I'm going with Asuka to retain the Raw Women's Championship.
And I did listen to your show, but like you said, things can change on the fly, and here's a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
Two women's matches where you almost feel bad at both of us, because here we go again. Rhea should have beat Charlotte last year. She got hosed there for the NXT title. And then Asuka, who's been holding it this whole time, they've been doing her bogus with the booking. So it's going to be a hell of a match. All these women do phenomenal jobs, and I'm interested to see where it takes us. But let's go on to the last bit here and wrap up. Randy Orton and The Fiend.
Oh boy.
I talked. It's interesting. I talked to Aaron, our guest, the other day, and he loves The Fiend but hates where they went with this. I love everything they've done about it, unless we get the one thing I won't like, which I see is if The Fiend comes out tomorrow in the same year or Sunday, and he just body bags Orton in a few seconds, and that be that. All that being said, there's been many of rumors, whether it's even actually him, maybe it's a Bo Dallas involvement, or there's just been a whole box of worms on this. Marcel, before you give your prediction, you have your opinion on the storyline and going into Mania.
I've been done with it, man.
He's over it. He said he's done.
Listen, y'all, man. If y'all don't, listen to how I talk about certain things, like I'm a believer. So anytime when they be doing all that satanic stuff, I'm like, listen, it's only been two cats in the WWE that's actually been able to pull off the satanic game. That's Undertaker and that's Kane. They're the only two. Everybody else, they can try it, it just don't work. So with Alexa Bliss running around in the pentagram 24/7, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting tired of that. Then Orton puking up black stuff 24. I'm like, you know what, man? So like I said, when he showed up at Fastlane, I was like, okay, so this is what I was thinking. I was thinking he was gonna beat Alexa Bliss. Then after he beat her, he pops up at the woodwork and lays him out. And then I was like, okay, so we know who's gonna win at WrestleMania. He lost that Fastlane. So now it's almost like, oh my goodness. Please don't mean you bring in the Fiend back just to lose again to Randy Orton. Makes no sense to me. So I'm gonna take the Fiend to win this match. First of all, they didn't even give us an explanation on what the match gonna be. We don't even know if we getting a regular match or we getting a Fire Funhouse type of match like how they did last year. We don't even know. They didn't tell us. So I don't know what we getting, but I'm gonna take the Fiend to win. So that's my take on that. So where do y'all go?
Well, and all I will say is the Fiend better win.
Yeah.
He's been screwed too many times. Cleveland, with the go home episode of Monday Night Raw last night, the storyline was not very much involved, and that's where I was disappointed. Um, the storyline had a lot of great moments, and then after Fastlane, it's gotten a little bit stale. Let's say you.
Um, this is kind of a tough one to choose. I am a huge The Fiend fan. I was very excited when he came back, actually. But I really think they fumbled this feud.
Yeah.
Maybe the match can save the show. Maybe it could be a cinema type match, but I will say this though: Randy Orton cannot go over again on
No.
Bray Wyatt at
He can't.
WrestleMania. He did it a few years ago. When Bray Wyatt won the match in the Elimination Chamber. It was a huge moment. I literally just watched it on YouTube. Everyone had the lights going and the crowd. He's got the whole world in his hands. Like it was feeling Bray Wyatt, and he loses at WrestleMania a month later to Randy Orton. You cannot make the same mistake again. You cannot make that mistake again. I mentioned Randy Orton is a 14-time world champion. He doesn't really need that many victories anymore. He's established. Everyone knows. First ballot Hall of Famer. One of the greatest wrestlers to ever step in WWE. But Bray Wyatt character is so unique, so different. You will probably never see another character like this for the next few years. We haven't seen one like that since The Undertaker, for being honest. So he cannot take this loss at WrestleMania, in my
No,
opinion.
he can't. I agree 100% with you, Cleve.
And that's why I'm not. What I think would be really cool, but it is a stretch, is that he gets in the ring. On Sunday they have a good match and Randy does win, and all of a sudden the Fiend comes out and it actually was Bo Dallas in the ring. I think there needs to be some element of surprise this Mania. Way before Alexa and Randy fall, I called that prediction. I'm just trying to think outside the box in terms of people who can return, because we went through all the matches. Now we got Marcel's opinions, but there's people from Becky Lynch to Ronda Rousey to John Cena to Goldberg to a plethora of other characters who haven't even been around a while. And I'm just looking including Bo Dallas, and I'm just looking around where you can find these surprises, and maybe the Firefight Funhouse grows and the Fiend makes a bigger family. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but Marcel, through the little Zoom technical difficulty and everything else, you've been a great guest tonight. We appreciate being on your YouTube show. Let the fans, though, on our side again, know how to follow you, subscribe for your show, and give us a closing thought.
All right, like you said, my ad is at Beats, is BEATS, the number 2. Blessings, BLESSING on Twitter. And then, like I said, the YouTube channel is Casey Fair Wrestling Takes. That's where I'm at. So if anybody want to get at me, that's where you can reach me at.
And it's so easy. All you got to do is go on YouTube or, Twitter to see his content. Me and him have now been following each other for a while, and it's been a fun. It's been fun there. I appreciate it. I've never met him and Marcel in my life, but I feel like as he's just another one of my friends who I could talk wrestling with and have a highly respected opinion. So I thank you. Cleveland, before we get out of here, any closing thought? We're going to be on again tomorrow, so it's a little short for us tonight, but we're going to get it going again.
No, I just want to say thank you so much for stopping by, Marcel.
No problem, brother.
Much needed. Looking forward to tomorrow's show. We got a lot going on. We got WrestleMania coming up this week, and I just found out the Hall of Fame ceremonies tonight, so I'm actually going to be watching that. I'm a huge fan of the Hall of Fame. So look forward to see everyone tune back in tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, folks, that's pretty much it. That's the whole interview podcast from my boys Cleve and Me, my man Joe and my man Cleveland. I'm going to put their Twitter things in the description box, so if y'all want to follow them, y'all can follow them. All right, signing out. I'll let you.